Hey guys, and welcome back to Making Spirituality Real with Jade. Today we have a very exciting item on the menu, something that personally I have been interested in for a very long time, and that is the talk about the Earth's transition into a social memory complex. Now, for some of you this might be an entirely new concept, so first I'm going to briefly explain what a social memory complex is. If you want to find out more information about this term, and generally about the philosophy of the law of one, there is so much material on the internet, on YouTube, that's going to do it better than I do. Just type on, in Google or YouTube law of one, and there are many great podcasts, many great YouTubers who just explain the whole concept in detail. Me here, I'm just going to already assume that you at least vaguely know what this means, and that you have been at least briefly familiarized with the concept, and I'm just going to pass into how I personally see Earth transitioning very slowly, very gradually into this social memory complex as we upgrade into 5D. So what is a social memory complex? It is basically a linkage between souls cooperating together, whose emotions and minds have fused to the point that they basically kind of channel everything, kind of like peer-to-peer connection between each other constantly, and thus conversation between such entities becomes redundant because they can already read each other's minds, they can see each other's thoughts, and they can understand each other's reactions, and they become one, thus the law of one. To put this more in perspective, imagine that there is a human being next to you, and there is no need for vocal communication because you can already hear each other's thoughts and reactions. And you know how it is inside your head, that your thoughts and your emotions, they happen faster than the words that you could speak with your mouth ever could flow out. So what happens is that basically you get this instantaneous connection because you both are inherently familiar with each other's thought processes. So you just get into this really super fast wavelength that's right now completely unimaginable to us human beings at the state of development that we are in. But essentially, this is what I'm pertaining to, is that humanity, the way that it operates right now, it's going towards the process of all body, mind, spirit complexes, all human beings, merging into one big social memory complex enveloping the whole planet. Now, like I said, this is not going to happen tomorrow. This process takes millennia, millions of years maybe. It's hard to pinpoint an exact date. But I think that right now we are at the brink of a very interesting change where we can kind of already start very slowly seeing those connections materializing right in front of our eyes. And I believe that one of the reasons is that currently right now we're at the very beginning of the age of Aquarius. And what is Aquarius if you know something about astrology? Well, again, I'm going to be brief because it's not the main topic of this video, but Aquarius energy is all about connection, humanity. It's about giving to a cause and towards a vision that you are passionate about. So essentially with Aquarius there is this linkage that happens because you unite together to discuss, to work towards an idea that's important to you. And because Aquarius needs those connections, needs this global network to achieve things on a big scale, because Aquarius is the maverick, the visionary that looks at things from an idealistic, yes, but at the same time realistic point of view, where it has a vision and it's willing to implement it socially. And for this, you can't just do it alone, because no one ever does anything by themselves. Even when you have someone who's famous, there's a whole bunch of people, there's a team working behind them, because this is how this world operates. The results are coming from connections and from the work that comes as a result of those connections. And Aquarius knows that and it capitalizes on that. This is kind of what makes me feel like this is the starting point. This is what kind of really kicks off this forming of social memory complex on Earth, because yes, it's not gonna be even finished by the time this age of Aquarius ends. It might take 10 more Aquarius ages for this to fully form, but this is definitely one of the milestones on this journey. And I think as souls who have incarnated right now in this day and age, it's really fascinating to observe as it comes to pass in front of our eyes. This is actually why many people, many souls have chosen to incarnate right now, to witness or be part of this very change, this very journey that has a goal of actually linking all of us completely. To talk a little more about the social memory complexes, how they materialize in our daily lives. So imagine, like I said, there's not a human being next to you, and there are absolutely no secrets whatsoever between you. I know this might sound scary. I'm a Scorpio sun and rising, so the concept of having my privacy stripped completely freaks me out, but this is just a sign of underdevelopment, because in higher dimensions, this kind of concept, the concept of having to keep secrets from someone, doesn't exist, because you can see someone's each thought. If someone can have anything that's truly private for themselves, there's no need for even an attempt at a lie, because it's not possible to realize that. Now, why right now is it such a pivotal moment where disconnections are starting to happen? Because right now, as we are evolving, we are receiving major activations to our heart chakra. Now, you probably know well about the basic 7 chakral system. Some people are interested more into an in-depth concept of a more spiritual 12th chakra system that involves connecting in higher realms with our guides, angels, the Akashic records, and our past lives. But for a time being, to make it simpler, let's go back to the 7 chakra system. So the heart chakra is a gateway to the connection of the throat chakra, the third eye chakra, and the crown chakra. So it's a gateway to connect us to those higher chakras of expression, understanding, and connection with the higher dimensions. The 3 bottom chakras are more so animalistic. They rule survival, the ego expression, and the identity and its assertion with solar plexus. So what happens with the heart chakra is the process of integration of the world around us into us. With the heart chakra, with the vibration of unconditional love, we dissolve the boundaries between ourselves and other people. We stop drawing the line between us and the other. We stop saying what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours. We dissolve selfishness. And thus we embrace the process of seeing the other as ourselves. Now, what happens when you start seeing the other as yourself? You no longer need to hide, because since you love them so unconditionally, you don't really feel the need to really hide from them. Think about the greatest relationship that you have ever had with another human being. It can be romantic, most often it's because it's just how Earth is wired for the process of reproduction, but the closest, most intimate relationship with a person you have had in your life. And think about the feeling of vulnerability where you really felt as if you could tell them anything. This is kind of how this unconditional universal love happens, only on a much, much bigger scale, on a much, much bigger level. That may be difficult for us because us, we were still yet born with the heart chakra not fully activated, the way that next generations will have it. Us, we are still more, the 3 bottom chakras, we are still more in the animal state of mind. So since already, even me right now, I'm already too old to be born in the time after the heart chakras have activated. But we can see this process already starting on Earth right now. And I didn't really realize how close we were to this process until the other day. I was having a chill day, and out of complete boredom, I watched something I would classify as a honestly boring high school movie. I can't remember the title for the love of me, and even if I did, I don't think I would want to mention it because this is not a movie review, it's just a case in point. It was this sort of movie that you can sometimes see in Hollywood about 2 people swapping bodies to see each other's perspectives. In this case, these were some sort of high school teenagers who had different social positions in school, which is an important thing if you're American. And basically the queen bee switched places with the bullied nerd. And they had to pretend to be each other for the sake of preserving their social position. And, spoiler here, by the end of the movie they become really close friends as they return back to their actual bodies. And at the end of the movie, this movie is pretty recent. I think it was like this year, or it was released this year or last year. They even start addressing each other by their respective names. What does it mean? It basically means that they were so used to pretending to be each other, they started to interchangeably use their names as if they were one. And I saw this and I thought, wow, having known how the law of one works, seeing that this already right now is happening in 2020 in a boring commercial movie with empty values, we can see the law of one and the mind-body-spirit complexes being linked into a social memory complex. Already at this stage we can see how it is working. When you identify with the other person so much, your name becomes one. If you study the law of one material, you can see that in the law of one there is one entity that evolves independently, yes, but more individually as one part made of smaller pieces. It just acts as one entity and it calls itself Ra. And Ra means all the inhabitants on the planet. And seeing this movie really was kind of a wake-up call for me to just start looking at other signs of how much we are connecting and how much we are evolving. And look no further, first one is the internet. Now people talk about the perils of the internet and the bad things that happen there, and sure they do, but has there ever been a more connected, bound, versatile way of linking people from the entire planet together? There never has been before. It's like, honestly, again, this is such an Aquarian concept. At any time, any moment, you can have access to any place within the virtual reality. And this is not yet the social memory complex itself, because it's not an actual connection of those people or mind-body-spirit complexes being next to each other, but it is a harbinger of what's to come. Have you ever had that feeling that you can open up to someone on the internet more than you can in real life? I also think this is kind of really tied to that, because when you are physically in somebody's presence, the physical things, the physical body, the material constraints can really kind of eclipse the actual truth of their being. But when you just type with someone, you are just there with their reactions, with the truth of their soul, especially if there's no video cam, no audio to distract you. And on one hand, yes, someone's physical body and their voice also adds additional information to sense out the person's energy, at least it does for me. But at the same time, it can be distracting, it can be eclipsing, especially for people who are not very strong in intuition or spiritual abilities. They may just not sense things that they are going to know about a person, about the deeper layers of who they are, when they meet them on the internet, because it allows of a greater layer of vulnerability. Again, what is more speaking about interconnectedness than this? I think internet is one of the biggest pieces of proof about what's really happening and how it really is a sign of us becoming more and more connected. I don't really want to get into too many details politically or socially in this video again, because first of all, videos getting banned, and second of all, I just, I want to keep this channel free of this sort of stuff. But I think that also the recent political health worldwide situation really proves to us again how interconnected we are, and how something sparking in one part of the globe can spread all over us and touch all of us in our daily lives in so many ways. Again, this is so much as part of the forming of a social memory complex. What I think we're observing right now on Earth actually are the growing pains of forming a social memory complex. And I think that it's really useful to know kind of where this is going and see that the chaos, the transformation that is going towards the forming of one social memory complex, where there will be no need for secrets, because between every being on Earth, there's going to be unconditional love and unconditional acceptance, which is going to ultimately link us all into one entity. Imagine the kind of love that you felt for the person you were the closest with in your life, like I asked you to before, and imagine feeling this love magnified for every single person on the planet. Imagining having this level of compassion for every human being that you encounter. A little bit of an astrology tidbit here. If you are someone who has a very active Chiron in their chart, you already kind of have that energy inside you to some degree. If you want more details on that, very recently I have made a video about the Chiron wounding and healing. If you go on my channel, it's like 2 videos before, you can find it very easily, very quickly, where I speak more about Chiron and astrology and about the wounds that it forms and the whole journey of living with your Chiron and applying it. But I believe that someone with a strong Chiron is someone whose soul, or who has chosen to incarnate from a dimension where this connection is already present. So basically this is someone that has already lived within a social memory complex on a higher level. So these people with a strong Chiron already have the idea of this interconnectedness ingrained in them. Like, personally, is this kind of person who has Chiron in so many places in their chart. This concept just really called to me immediately, even though, like I said, I'm also pretty Scorpio in nature, so there's this part of me that's very private and did not like it, but then there was this part of me that completely resonated with the rightness of this feeling and how much further we could go both individually and globally if these barriers that we have between each other would not happen. So I guess that by using these examples in popular culture and in our mirroring reality, I want you guys to notice that we are just all working into becoming one ever-loving, ever-connected entity. And I think that to see that Earth that is, still so flawed in so many ways, that still is going through so much, seeing it already be on this process during such a year, 2020 has, been difficult, has been transformative for so many of us. You can just embrace it or not to varying degrees. Seeing this sort of positive outcome at the end of this journey, it's one of the things that gets me up in the morning, honestly, the understanding of the depth and the finesse and the perfection of this process. The other element that kind of made me think of this expansion into a mind-body-spirit complex is something that is labeled nowadays as 8D music. We have all sorts of it. There's 8D, 16D, I've been so 128D. Basically, the concept behind it, if you Google it, is that this music is taking even old songs we know and making them reverberate so that they activate and stimulate different parts of our brain, and it kind of makes it sound as if you're at a live concert of this very artist. Some people warn that you can get seizures while listening to this. I don't know, I have been for months, nothing happened to me yet, but viewer discretion advised, not encouraging you in any way. If you're feeling, that your head hurts while listening, then maybe, you should not, but the point is that this music kind of makes it sound as if it's addressed to several people at the same time. It makes, instead of stimulating your brain in one point consistently, it kind of goes all around. That's at least how I feel. It's like it's jumping all around the brain. Maybe that's why the seizures, because some brains are not prepared for that. Who knows? But I think even the existence of this music, again, is another manifestation of the emerging of the social memory complex on Earth, because it makes it sound as if it's addressed not just to one individual, to a separated person, but to everyone. We see more and more of those things nowadays that really make it sound as if they're addressed to all sorts of people. We can see the disadvantage being spoken up for more than ever. We can see the rights being defended. Of course, we can also see the rights being abused, but that's because, like I said, growing pains on Earth. But more and more now we can see that the Earth is fighting for the inclusion of everyone from the bottom to the top. It's fighting for the inclusion of everyone because under the connected social memory complex there is no space for exclusion. If we are all one, then we're all part of the same entity. Think of your body, your human body. There are some parts of it that you like more, some parts that you like less. But if you had to cut off your own limb, you wouldn't feel that good about it, right? Because it's your limb, This hand that you have, you might not like how it's shaped. You might want a manicure, or you might, want the fingers more muscular. You won't mind them slimmer or whatever. But they're still you. And this is kind of, I feel how it must feel to be connected under the social memory complex. Even those parts of you that are troublesome, that may be giving you a physical disease, these parts of you are no less you. And what you seek to do is you seek to heal them. You seek to improve them. You don't seek to remove them that fast, That's why it's such a pain when someone needs to have something amputated, because it's like the last resort. And I think this is kind of what's happening to society right now, is that we're taking those parts that are not functioning the best and we are improving them. We are transforming them. And I get this inclusion of the lowest into understanding that this is still only part of the totality that we are. The social movements, the social changes, still more proof to me that we are on a path towards merging into a social memory complex. Of course, this path is not perfect. There are many pitfalls along the way. Like I said, it takes such an incredible amount of time that for us in our lives, we're nowhere near seeing the finalizing of it. So, if you are really worried about your privacy in this physical life, be not, because it's just not gonna happen now. But I think that nevertheless, it's very interesting to be informed as to where the humanity is heading. Many people ask me, sometimes when I give someone a private tarot and astrology reading, they say, I'm anxious about where humanity is heading because I care about it. Very often these are people with 11th house planets, because these are people that are concerned with society. The 11th house is the house ruled by Aquarius. Or people with strong Uranus, these are people that look at humanity and they are concerned with it as if it's their best friend. Well, I think that, thinking of those clients that I've had, those friends that I have who think like that, who are concerned with that, and there are so many of them, and so many of you that I don't know yet, that I can't know. I think that it's a very uplifting and encouraging piece of news to have in this day and age, to know that in the long run, a very long run, we are going towards oneness. I think it also may make us less judgmental in our daily lives if we realize what we are and what we're supposed to be eventually. Because if you looked at everyone that you ever hated, disliked, and judged as yourself, as another part of you, as a brother, a friend, those who are religious say, you know, there is wisdom in that. As much as I don't have any religious affiliations, there is truth in that in the end we are all supposed to see another person as ourselves. And I think it would really help us in our daily lives to give this kindness to another, to ask ourselves what is really the best, not just for me, but for you. So few people do that, you know. And it doesn't always look the same, because sometimes the best thing that you can do for someone is to walk away from them if you can see that it's stopping their path, you know. Sometimes walking away is the kindest choice, but I really think that so many of us do things for really selfish reasons, which in the end benefits no one, not us, not the other party. We cling on to things that are not good for us out of desperation. We cling on to toxic things, work environments, friends, romantic partners, because we don't know how to let go. And we refuse to accept those new things for us that could really put us further. And we don't ask ourselves or others about what will be the next best step in mutual development. We kind of don't know how to look at mutual interests of the collective. When someone dumps a plastic bottle in the forest, they don't think about the fact that it's going to be bad for themselves, for the whole planet. In the long spectrum of time, they just think about immediate gratification. So I really would like, if possible, the whole world to see this material and understand the truth behind what I'm saying, because if we all had this somewhere in the back of our heads, then maybe the small things in our life would go better. Then maybe there would be less of the wrong sort of egoism. Still, yes, at the stage of development, so many of us think that we are better than everyone else, we're better than our neighbor, we're better than the guy next door. Well, I guess another point that I'm making here is that since in the end we are all supposed to be one, we really are not. Even if you have a privilege of more intellect, more spirituality, more beauty, more anything, the only point of this privilege is to use it towards the collective. Personally, I always do that, is that when I take an action towards someone else, I always ask myself if it was something that a loving person would do, or would that be something that I would like done to myself? Would that be something that benefits the interest of the other person? And that includes sometimes taking a step back, sometimes taking a step forward. All it demands basically is compassion. Thank you guys so much for staying with me and watching this video. I encourage you to go to my channel and watch my other videos, give this video a like and subscribe. You can find my tarot playlist where I do pick a cards and tarot readings. You can find my astrology playlist and my peace of mind playlist with more discourse like in this video. And I also have a private tarot and astrology readings, and I'm a spiritual coach. You can find my Etsy shop down below, or my email address if you want to schedule a reading by email. And of course I post videos regularly, so come back to me on this channel. Thank you guys so much for listening today, and see you, bye.